Good day everyone, my name is Ofense Gaitate. I'm from a tiny village in Moses Kotana called Moroleng. I'm a person with disability. What prompted me to come to the commission and make a submission, amongst others, was for the fact that 2 years ago there was a video of learners from Sidibelo which went viral. The video showed about 40 learners who were in a 15-seater vehicle. We need to understand that if we, the parents, do not take that responsibility, it's going to be upon our conscience. May the God of the heavens forbid. But if an accident had to happen and 40 learners passed on, it is literally a class full of learners. My thoughts and my submission was that this is literally a suicide mission. This is literally an attempt to do mass murder. This is my submission to the commission. That prompted me to say, I cannot sit back and not do anything. Some of the problems I believe are the reasons that the parents are giving the learners an option to choose who to transport them. The learners, I believe, are not properly educated to make proper choices because they will go for the taxi with the loudest music. This is what they like. Even if the taxi is overloaded, they will do that. On a 15-seater vehicle, there's about 5 rows of seats. It means about 8 learners were sitting on each row. But the worst part is that in front, there were about 5 learners sitting there, and a female learner was sitting on the lap of a taxi driver. The taxi driver was part of the students a year earlier in Sidibelo. These are some of the things that made me stand up and said, this cannot be. We, the parents, are failing the next generation. So this is some of the issues that ensured that I stand up and said, it is time that the Human Rights Commission find we, the parents, guilty of such things that we did not take account of. These are some of the issues that I was presenting. I was also presenting the fact that people with disability, it is the community that is making them disabled. By this I mean the way disabilities get an ability in there, but unfortunately the community focuses on what is it that we cannot do. You may not be aware, but I will let you know. My eyes are what I call on load shedding. They went about 12 years ago on load shedding. Suddenly I was capable of doing things, but now that glaucoma, the disease I did not apply for, has come upon my eyes and I'm now a visually impaired person. Suddenly I'm not capable of doing things. Suddenly I'm not a friend to many. Suddenly I'm not able to serve on the community. So when I say it is the community that is making us disabled, these are some of the factors that I was submitting to the committee. Some of the submissions I mentioned, and I showed that when learners travel in very loud, extremely loud transport, there are going to be effects medically that are going to be felt upon these learners. Unfortunately, even if teachers are transported, they will also choose these ones. When parents are transported, they will also choose these ones. Education is the key to say to parents, this is not it. Education must go to the educator to say, this cannot be done. Learners need to be empowered to know that if you are in a taxi that is too loud, you better be making a submission to the school. It is possible, and I believe it will happen, if you attempt to speak with the driver and all other learners are passionate about loud music. The fact that you might be not looked at in the right way. You might be looked at as a person who doesn't like the fun part of what is happening in the taxi industry. But learners need to stand up and say to the schools, our transport is too loud. How do I change these things? One of the things I submitted as a recommendation was that the parents need to be in charge of the finances. And I proposed to the system, why don't we pursue a smart card, which is a type of a credit card that the parents can use to credit one. This card can be used for authorized transporters. There are two types of transporters. The taxis transport people when they pick them up from the street or from the taxi rank. It is their permit that gives them the permit to do that. But there are organizations that specifically transport learners. NASTOA is one of those organizations. They need to be able to stand up, attend SGB meetings, attend school meetings where they let the parents know that we as this organization are the authorized transporters, because the cat and mouse game they are playing, where when there are police activity or traffic officials activity, they have a way of going around these things so that they are not being held accountable. That must come to a definite stop. The parents need to be using the smart card system, which must be adopted, I believe, by both the department and the schools, because several factors can benefit schools. Like this card can monitor proper school attendance. Whenever schools have fundraising events, this is the type of card they can be used. Whenever learners need access to refreshments from their canteens, this is the kind that they use. So my submission is, when we continue to give our dearest children money, we are giving them the power not only to choose wrong transporters, but I also believe we are also giving them the finances to finance wrong habits like acquisition of drugs. If we go the cashless route, part of my submission was, I believe we as the parents will be taking our rightful responsibility.